Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. Great to have you here today. I can't wait to get into our show on this Wellness and Weight Loss Wednesday, where it's always about transforming your health, your body, and your mind. One of the taglines for the Cabral Concept podcast is really changing your body and changing your life. And the way that we change our life is honestly through changing our body first. That's why I'm such a huge proponent of taking back your health. Because if you have your health, then that means you're going to have the energy, the ambition, the drive in order to do anything that you want with your life. So that's why I love being able to teach this topic of health, but I also enjoy teaching and talking about psychology and really the art of being happy, the art of being well, and the two go hand in hand. And that's what I want to share with you here today on the show. So this podcast dedicated to basically, this is why so many people are unwell and unhappy, and they really do go together. And I wanted to share with you just two easy, simple research studies that I think will at least share with you or show you the simplest and fastest way to get started. That's it. And it's almost cost-free because you have to do it anyways, and it has to do with your diet. So that's what I want to share with you first. Remember, I teach the de-stress protocol that I've created. It's diet, exercise, stress reduction, toxin removal, rest, emotional balance, scientifically backed supplements, and a success mindset. It's an 8-part protocol. I write about it in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect. That book is completely free. I pay to print it, and then you just pay for shipping at stephencabral.com. That's up to you if you'd like to read it, but I teach essentially everything I've been doing there in that book over the last 25 years. So I would check that out, but today I really want to get started because it's difficult to be happy and it's difficult to be healthy if your nutrition is not on point. And that's why most practitioners start with either improving your digestion in your gut or fixing your diet, or ideally both. That has to be a cornerstone. The problem is they don't teach this in conventional medicine, okay? And they definitely don't teach it for psychiatrists and many psychologists. So we have people walking around with nutritional deficiencies, with all sorts of gut-based imbalances. It affects the gut microbiota, meaning the bacteria in your gut, and it definitely affects your inflammation and your mood. And as I spoke about, I believe it was just yesterday, on gut imbalances and brain fog. And so that's why, again, these things are just so crucial. I really wish they taught at medical school, but they don't. But that's okay because, again, shows like the Cabral Concept, and I'm sure many others that you listen to or articles that you've read and books that you love, I'll also share this with you. And so my goal is to simply say, if you learn this, then you can share it with other people. That's the whole goal, right? So that's what we're trying to do. All right, let's get right into this. Now, this was actually published on the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. I mean, this is run, believe it or not, by the government. And you know I'm not the hugest proponent of a lot of the CDC and NIH's work because it's also funded by pharmaceutical companies. And I'm not even against pharmaceutical companies. I'm honestly not. I'm against some of the things they do, which is essentially putting people on a lifetime of drugs when a lot of it could be handled with de-stress protocol and lifestyle-based corrections. But I digress. Let's go over this. So it says only 1 in 10 adults get enough fruits and vegetables. And I'll link up both studies today, one on wellness of the body, and then I'll link up the one on wellness of the mind as well. So I'm just going to read it to you. It's super simple, super short, and then I'm going to share my take on it. So it says, eating a diet rich in fruits and vegetables can help reduce the risk of many leading causes of illness and death, such as cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, some cancers, and obesity. Despite these positive health benefits, few adults meet the recommendations. Only 9% of adults are eating the recommended amounts of vegetables, and 12% are eating the recommended amount of fruit. And this is, again, based on a big study. I will link that up. All links today, by the way, will be at stephencabral.com/2217. So it said the study also found variations by state. For example, meeting the fruit and vegetable recommendations range from anywhere around 6% in West Virginia to 16% in Washington, D.C., which was the highest. Overall, no real significant differences between race and ethnicity groups for meeting the vegetable recommendations. However, in 10 states, a significantly higher percentage of people who were Hispanic and non-Hispanic Black met recommendations for fruit intake than did people who were non-Hispanic white. Continued efforts are needed to identify and address barriers to fruit and vegetable consumption. Previous studies have found that high cost, limited availability and access, and perceived lack of cooking preparation time can be barriers to fruit and vegetable consumption. And that was it. I mean, that's basically the gist of it. Then you had to go deeper into the study. So I did. And I said, well, what do they consider a serving of fruit and vegetables? So it says, in order to be able to meet the requirement of did you eat your enough fruit for the day? Again, like 9%, right? Not even 1 out of 10. It says you only needed to eat 1.5 cups of fruit. That's it. And to meet the vegetable requirement, you only needed to eat 2.5 cups of vegetables per day. So that was for women. Men, 2 cups of fruit, and men, 3.5 cups of vegetables. So women essentially were told they need to eat 4 total cups of fruit and vegetables every day. Men were told they needed about 5 to 5.5 cups of fruit and vegetables every day, with the majority of that coming from vegetables. So my recommendation based on all the research I've done, and again, this is through leading researchers, double-blind placebo studies, etc. It really needs to be closer to 7 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. This is half of that. And at half of that, still about 1 out of 10 Americans, that's it, are meeting these. And by the way, this is pretty much going now for the entire westernized-based world. But here's where it gets even a little bit crazier. And that's why at face value, you'd say, oh, well, 1 out of 10 people, that's not too bad. But here's the thing. Again, that's why you have to go deeper into these studies, and you can't take anything at face value. So when I went deeper, and again, by the way, I agree with this, meaning that fruit and vegetables are the only thing proven to help reduce all of the top 4 causes of mortality. And there are really only top 4 causes of mortality. Cardiovascular disease, which is like heart attacks, high blood pressure, which is vascular-based diseases. Then you have type 2 diabetes, and I would put obesity along with that. And then you have cancer, right? So those are the top 4. If you don't get one of those, as I've told you before, your odds for living an extra 10 years go up dramatically, like absolutely dramatically. So how do you do that? Well, higher intake of high antioxidant foods, high colorful phytonutrient-based foods. That's why you can't go along with the rhetoric of the day where people are saying, no, you only need to eat meat and fat, which is, by the way, there's no long-term research showing that the way that you prevent cancer, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes is a high-fat or high-meat diet. I'm not against fat, and I'm not against meat, but certainly, again, if you're going by the research and not cherry picking, the preponderance of the research 100% shows add fruits and vegetables to your meat or to your healthy fats, right? So that's a big part of it. I don't want to get too crazy with diet here right now, but again, that's the truth. I'm not a fruit and vegetable farmer. I have nothing to sell you on that. So here's the thing though. When I went deeper in the study, believe it or not, they allowed fruit juice to be part of the study. So if the person had a glass of fruit juice, they essentially would have met their requirement for the day. I thought that was a little bit outrageous. Not a huge fan of that. And then also to meet their vegetable requirement for the day, they could eat French fries. They could eat potatoes. And again, I think we have to be really careful with that research. So if we're really looking at this, what are we looking at? Well, 1 out of 10 adults? I don't know about that. Really, like if we're saying fruit juice and French fries are fruits and vegetables, I think we're greatly mistaken. I really do. I think we have to be careful with that. So we're really talking about, I don't even know what it would be because again, the research wasn't done, but certainly it's not even 1 out of 10. So can you start to see that we know fruits and vegetables help to prevent all of the major leading causes of disease and death, and people are not doing it. Now, you can say it's a lack of access, maybe, right? In some cases, yeah, it could be. But we're not talking that you have to eat anything specific. We're talking about salad. We're talking about any fruit. We're talking about any vegetable, really, anything of color, right? So your reds, oranges, yellows, blues, greens, purples, etc. And we're not even talking about eating organic. Ideally, it's organic. I prefer it to be because they don't get all the pesticides. But in reality, what are we really talking about? We're talking about finding fruits and vegetables anywhere, anywhere, right? You should be able to, like somewhere in your grocery food store. So again, I'm just going to leave it at that. You can take it from where you want from there. But I also wanted to share with you an interesting study because, again, this is how I spend most of my time reading now is just going through tons and tons of research and studies, which I do love. And then I just want to simplify it. I just want to pick out the good ones that I believe that have the most real world value and that you can hopefully start to teach maybe family and friends and even with your own family. But let's look at this. So this was done over 4,000 adults who participated in the Australian Diabetes, Obesity, and Lifestyle Study. Overall, this was a 12-year study. They were looking at mood, essentially, and how it correlated with the amount of fruits and vegetables every day. So what they found was this. They essentially had three different groups. Group 1 consumed 0 to 273 grams per day of fruits and vegetables. Group 2 consumed 274 to 361 grams per day. And Group 3 consumed 362 to 464 grams per day of vegetables. There was actually one more group that consumed quite a bit, and that was 265 grams per day. And here's what's interesting, that as long as you were eating more than 280 or so grams per day of fruits and vegetables, you had a much better finding of improving your overall mood. So I'll just read you the specific excerpt now. Individuals with higher intakes of red, orange, and yellow vegetables, as well as leafy greens, had the lowest chance of developing a depressed mood. Those who had more diverse vegetable intake of 4 to 6 different kinds of vegetables daily also saw the best benefits for their emotional state. No similar results were found for different intakes of fruit. So this is really important because what do we know? Well, we know that now more fruits and vegetables not only help the body, but they help the overall mood. Now, you might say, well, how much then is your average portion of food in grams, and how many then do you need to eat? Well, the average size portion of a fruit or vegetable is about 80 grams. So you need about 4 servings of that every single day. So when you start to see this, you start to say, okay, this makes sense. I can get in my 1 cup of berries, maybe 2 or so, maybe an apple, whatever you'd like. And then I can get the rest of it in vegetables each day. And the vegetables can be 2 to 3 cups at lunch and 2 to 3 cups at dinner. I've gone through this with my previous podcasts of the foundation of all diets. We'll try to link that up today at 2217. A day in the life of my Mediterranean diet. I've done lots of nutrition-based. I'll link up all of my nutrition-based shows as well at stephencabral.com/2217. But really, I mean, this can fit into an intermittent fasting-based diet, which intermittent fasting can fit into any diet. But by getting just, again, 1 cup or so, maybe 2 of fruit around breakfast time, getting in 2 to 3 cups of vegetables at lunch, honestly, as easy as a cup of, you can do anything, rice, cauliflower, a cup of broccoli, a cup of butternut squash. These can even be frozen. I've given you examples of that before. You just heat it and it's done. At dinner, you could eat whatever you want again. It could be some salad mix. It could be some asparagus. It could be some bok choy. It could be anything you'd like. And again, you can start to, if you're not someone that's worried about weight as much or needs to gain weight, you can easily add in some sweet potatoes or some yams. Japanese yams are one of my favorites, purple potatoes, and all those count as well. So it's those colorful, bright nutrients. They not only help the body, but they help the mind and the emotions as well. So I just wanted to share that with you today. I'll link up the research, but really the research is definitive. It honestly is. It's very, very clear that if you want to live a long, healthy life, you need to be adding in as much fruits and vegetables as you can. And if you're dealing with more blood sugar irregularity, you'll certainly lean more towards vegetables over a lot of fruit. Hopefully this was helpful. I appreciate you tuning in. And like I said, I will link up all the studies as well as additional shows at stephencabral.com/2217. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp hearts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.